I don't mind pets. I don't love them. I mean, I really haven't got time for them, to be honest, but I don't dislike them. But yeah, I'd rather dogs than cats, put it that way. But cats seem to have a lot of intelligence over here. Oh, he always had. He lived up in Roseworthy there in the country, so he always had dogs and cats, yeah. Oh, Rover. There you go, Rover. Like the football player, Rover. Oh yeah, I got back from Montreal, crazy 4 days, took like 4 or 5 days to recover, got all the 3 TV shows up, so working my butt off the last week, but now back to normal, and yeah, there's been a couple of crazy sports stories actually broken the last 2 days that your listeners might be interested in. You want to talk about the football one first? Well, as you know, NFL, the Super Bowl is massive sport over here, and the New York Giants won it last year, and one of their star players is a big 6'5" receiver called weird name, Plexico Burris. Well, anyway, he's been in a bit of trouble, missed a team meeting not long ago, and they suspended him. Well, he's out injured, so Friday night, he's gone into a nightclub in New York and he's carrying a gun for a start. New York mayor said carrying guns, they're really strict on it in New York. So he's carrying a gun, and talk about the saying, shoot yourself in the foot. Well, he literally did that. In the nightclub, the gun was in his pocket and it went off and shot himself in the leg and put a huge hole in his leg. For about 3 hours he was scared to go to the hospital, because obviously any gun shooting they got to report to the police, and because he's one of the highest profile sports people in New York, he hid for 3 hours and finally went to hospital, and it came out on Monday that, you know, he's basically, we all see him getting led into court in handcuffs. He's done, and the mayor basically said, you know what, I'm not going to feel sorry for a multi-million-dollar football player. He's probably going to get locked up. The New York Giants have suspended him, so his career's done. The stupid guy, he just carries a gun and shoots himself in the foot. Like, just craziness over here, and you hear it all the time. Way more crazy sports stories with guys being idiots off the field, getting locked up and all the sorts of stuff. Yeah, I didn't believe that either, but yeah, we hear of New York just being obviously a really bad city in some of the parts. I mean, I've been down to Central Park and I felt safer in New York than LA actually, but you know, it's obviously got really, really bad areas. But yeah, the mayor said, you know, you carry a gun without a license and you're going to be in as much trouble as someone off the street. So he's done. They're going to lock him up, and they'll probably make a big example of him, like they did with the Michael Vick case, where, well, talking about dogs, Michael Vick was the star quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons. He's still locked up because he was the ringleader of a dogfighting ring a year and a half ago, and he lied to it, and they locked him up and made a big example of him. So the American government's really looking to make examples of these star athletes, and they're not getting off like they used to. Well, that's it. And O.J. Simpson, I mean, he was a star running back here in the NFL, and you know, it's apparently, you know, common knowledge that, you know, he murdered his wife and that other fella. So, you know, once you're over here, you basically realise that he apparently did it. You know, once you use the apparently word, I can't get sued. But, you know, allegedly, is it? Yeah. Well, it's common knowledge over there that he allegedly did it, and he's still walking free. Well, actually, no, and now he's getting locked up because he was in Las Vegas a few months ago. He's in Las Vegas, and he went in and stole some of his memorabilia from a memorabilia dealer. So he's now going to apparently go to jail because he stole memorabilia, yet he can allegedly murder his wife and her boyfriend and walk free. It's a joke. Absolutely. This is crazy. Obviously, a lot of your listeners are little Hollywood fanatics and watching the movies. And talk about the movies. Oh, that Australia film's fantastic. We can get to that later if you want. But little Hollywood actress, her name's Aletha Cuthbert. Little blonde thing, little cute girl next door type. She's in lots of movies. She grew up here in Calgary, and she loves the hockey. So she went out with this guy called Sean Avery, who's a total idiot. He's a big tough man in the hockey world and shoots his mouth off, and the New York the LA Kings dumped him, New York Rangers dumped him, now he's playing in Dallas. Well, this little Lisa Cuthbert, she's now going out with Dion Phaneuf, who's a young kid from Calgary, one of the top 3 defensemen in the hockey. He's just a gun. He's been on the scene for like 3 years. One of my favourite hockey players, rough, tough, you know, not really dirty. He'll just clean up a player really fairly. Well, he signed a big contract a year ago, and he's now going out with this little Lisa Cuthbert. So Sean Avery's here in town in Calgary. I actually saw their own plane pull up Monday night, and they all got off it. And he's on. He calls all the media over yesterday, and he normally says he doesn't say nothing because he gets in trouble. Well, he basically ripped into. He basically just stirred up the whole pot. He said a few words, and then within 2 hours, the NHL suspended him, so he wasn't allowed to play last night because the NHL commissioners were just totally worried it was going to be a bloodbath, massive fights, and a recurrence of the Todd Bertuzzi Moore incident. You probably even seen over there where this guy sucker punched Steve Moore. He broke his neck, and still major court cases going on over that. So this crazy Sean Avery gets and talks to all the media yesterday, and basically about his ex-girlfriend now going out with another hockey player here in Calgary. So you want me to play the little soundbite? Here we go.
I'm really happy to be back in Calgary. I love Canada. And I just wanted to comment on how it's become like a common thing in the NHL for guys to fall in love with my sloppy seconds. I don't know what that's about, but enjoy the game tonight. See ya.
So yeah, it's kind of pretty rough. I mean, he didn't say a lot, but what he said, the commissioner just came straight down on him, suspended for the game last night, and apparently he walked out just smiling and smirking. Well, he wasn't smiling 2 hours later when they suspended him, so just as well the hockey did that, because it would have been a bloodbath. Phaneuf would have tried to clean him up fairly, but one of the other Calgary players no doubt would have just gone for him, and it just would have been a mess. So just as well, because hockey is a rough, tough game, but any of this premeditated stuff, you know, it's like premeditated murder compared to manslaughter, you know what I mean? Oh, fantastic, especially because I've been away for so long. And I took this lovely lady from Calgary here I've been hanging out with for quite a few months, and I just said to her, I said, look, this was totally natural. This is not put on at all, and I'm worried that Americans and Canadians that watch the film are going to think it's exaggerated, but it's really not. And the classic one was Hugh Jackman's driving this big old van with all gear on the top and a couple of Aborigines up on the top, and Nicole Kidman, the posh English lady, sitting next to him, and they're going through the outback towards their property, and these kangaroos start hopping next to her, the truck, and then Nicole just goes, oh, look at those beautiful kangaroos, and I could just tell this was coming. Within 5 seconds, bang, and one of the Aborigines up on the top just shoots the kangaroo, and they throw the kangaroo up on top of the truck and obviously take it back to skin it and eat it, right? So just some really funny stuff, you know. Oh, I mean, there was probably 5 minutes where I thought it went a bit too long, like it's nearly 3 hours, but no, I thought it was fantastic. And just like I said, being away, I haven't been home in 6 years, and just I basically felt like just packing up and coming home after watching that movie. And you know, to see Darwin get bombed, I mean, you know, we always heard that Darwin got bombed, but we didn't really know to what extent, really. And just the little half-caste Aboriginal boy, I mean, he was the star of the show, there's no question about that. Hugh Jackman was pumped up and ripped, and, you know, the girls obviously love him, but good on him, he's doing well for Australia down there in crazy Hollywood. I did see it. It came fifth in the opening week. But the trouble is, these Americans, they'll all go the opening week, and then if the film's no good, it drops off. But I believe word of mouth will absolutely make that film in the cinemas for a long time. So they should do really well. I think it made 15 to 20 million in the first year, which was number 4 or 5 on the list. No, but I know there's some deals to come back through Qantas, I believe. So, yeah, they're definitely promoting it. I watched a little Hollywood clip with Hugh and Nicole down there at the opening of the opening of the film, and then I read this. This was kind of funny. Hugh Jackman. I mean, in the past he'd been accused of being a bit iffy, but you know, he won Sexiest Man of the Year or whatever. But he actually said that this was funny. He actually said that he used to visit gay nightclubs in Australia as a kid, because then he would hit on the drunk women. So women would go to gay nightclubs so that they wouldn't get hit on by guys, but then once they have a few drinks into them and late at night they were drunk, they were wanting a bit of action. So him and his mates used to go to gay nightclubs to hit on drunk women. I mean, I was telling this lady here that, and to me that was really funny, crazy Aussie, you know, young boys just out looking to get laid, you know. Well, obviously, the Grey Cup's new. I got 3 shows from last week out there in Montreal. Some cheerleader dancing, some interviews, some crazy fans, and I'm with a couple of radio and TV mates from Toronto. So Gabriel Morency's his name. He's pretty hardcore, and he's doing really well. I think he'll challenge Jim Rome, who's the biggest sports guy in America. He makes like $4 million a year plus. He's syndicated to like 300 radio stations, so I believe this Gabriel Morency will challenge him soon. He's hardcore and really knows his football stuff, and he's really into betting, so he's got a huge hardcore following. So I hung out with those guys and interviewed some really good famous people as well. So Grey Cup's craziness, just got some of the funniest footage I've ever had over the years from '99. My first one was 1999 in Vancouver. Then I got Pamela Anderson on the 05 Grey Cup show. So possibly my funnest week of the year. Good talking to you, Jeff. See you later, man.